sim races from around the globe, honoring a revolutionary era of open-wheel racing. With a beast not easily tamed, roaring around legendary circuits at breakneck speed. When engineers and drivers push boundaries, sometimes too far. When heroes muscled roaring beasts wheel to wheel around the hallowed ground. A time when the only driver aids were his 2 feet, the perfect combination of man, machine, and speed. Experience the competition and the glory of early 80s IndyCar action. The Lionheart Retro Series presented by Next Level Racing starts now.
For one final time, we're ready to ride in the Lionheart Retro Series across 2023 and 2024. It's here at the traditional championship showdown. We'll close the books on this championship campaign with the championship already crowned. It's time to find out who closes things off on top here in the final step of our campaign. Welcome along to RaceSpotTV and welcome to the Gomez of Industries Championship 250 presented by Next Level Racing. Hello everyone, delighted to have you along. It's Arjuna Kankipati alongside with Joey Tebbin as we kick things off for the final time this season. Let's dive straight in towards our butt kicker pre-race show because, Joey, anytime you come to the High Banks of Auto Club, it's going to be interesting, even though it's a legacy that's now preserved only in the virtual world.
Yeah, this is kind of the magic of virtual racing. We've got a legacy track now that's currently being dug up by excavators and put in landfills, and we've got a legacy car as well that does still exist. There's still some Lotus 79s out there that are running vintage races, but not in packs of 20-plus cars at almost 200 miles per hour. This is something only possible in the virtual world, and that's why you come to the Lionheart Racing Series.
Should be fun. You see the look from up above as the drivers get some final preparation under their belt in the practice session currently underway. Let's talk you through the Next Level Racing schedule, and boy, what a campaign it's been. The longest ever Lionheart Retro Series with 22 races on the docket. This, of course, the final of the Triple Crown races, but just a note, no double points on the line here. It is very much just about the regular points-paying system. And so as you look through all of where we've been and what fun that we've had, you see the mix of the roads, the ovals. One thing that you'll see when you look at the Next Level Racing driver standings is the gap at the front between Sean Campbell and his WMP racing machine and Michael O'Brien, the leading Nezumi Graphics LC Madworks car. Well, it's above the threshold to try and see a championship change hands. Sean Campbell enters this final round, Joey, with the championship already locked up.
Yep, he's got 69 points over Michael O'Brien. That's a very nice gap, and you only get 60 points for a win in this series, so do the simple math. Can't do anything there. I was actually talking to Sean Campbell before the race. We were discussing some other sports car-y things, and he was talking about the possibility that how he used to race and play Bloons Tower Defense sometimes. He wants to race and play clone Guitar Hero at the same time. So this could be the day he does it now that he has this locked up.
Well, that's an interesting proposition. It's now just the technical issues that maybe will hold him back. You see, there are some fights slightly further back. Matt Taylor, David Sirra, they're closely ensconced in that fight for third position in the championship, and then, of course, slightly further behind, Guyon, Graf, Fontaine, Valenzuela, not much splitting all of them. One championship locked up, well, all of the championships locked up. And so as we cycle over to the HyperX Team Championship, Nezumi Graphics LC Madworks already have the crown, and defending champions being able to bring that back as well. They'll enter not just this year, but potentially their title defense later on, maybe in March or April, with plenty of confidence on their side. You see plenty of other gaggles, though, and fights still left to be determined. One more championship left, and I said they're all determined. It was slightly unfair for Sean Campbell to enter this as a quote-unquote rookie, Joey, with the experience that he brings across so many different cars. Not just our overall champion, our butt kicker rookie champion as well.
Yeah, he joined such famous IndyCar rookies as Rubens Barrichello and Fernando Alonso and Jimmy Johnson and Romain Grosjean. People who, you know, you're not really a rookie. You've got about 9,000 years worth of racing experience, but it is your first season in the series, so technically he is a rookie, as was Phil Kraus, as was a whole bunch of other very familiar names down that order. it's been a good year to be a rookie. I wonder who we'll see next season.
That's the interesting thing. Hopefully they don't have so strong a competition with which to benchmark themselves again. So look at the Gomez Sim Industries Series details. It's the end of the 7th season of this Lionheart Retro Series, the 10th year though of the Lionheart Racing Series. As we campaign this Lotus 79, drivers competing with a custom fixed setup, leaving them with this, just their 2 hands, their 2 feet with which to work. They're fighting for their share of cash and prizes, totting up to $3,600 with 2 Triple Crowns in the books and of course 1 still left to come. Outgoing champion Mike Rasmas will look to try and win this race once more, while defending team champions Madworks, of course, already locked in as the defending team champions once again. And so as we work forward into the arena event details, championships all locked up, it's all about pride on the line. And at a track where cautions have not necessarily been a guarantee, Mike Rasmas is hoping to win for 3rd time in a row, something that has never happened before, by the way. Dustin Wardlow won twice, but never got that 3rd win. And because we've never seen this race finish under caution, the closest finish, the 3rd closest in series history, an average finish totting up to about 1/10 of a second. Hopefully, Joey, they keep it clean for the first part of the race, and then we get a blockbuster towards the end.
We can only say hopefully, but I would say the odds are not in Mike Rasmus's favor here. He hasn't won a race yet this season, and I'm no statistician. I lost a lot of money on sports betting because I don't know how to follow the stat lines, but all of that adds up to Mike Rasmus probably not being the favorite to win today. I think we're going to see that streak broken. I just don't know who it's going to be.
He needs to hopefully try and stay out of trouble at the end of the day. See, the average number of cautions being 3. Back in Season 5, we had just the 1, so that is something that will hopefully play out as an important factor. Last season was the largest margin of victory, by the way, 4/10 or so of a second, hoping that we see, again, a photo finish at the end of the season. Drivers are ready to roll their way on forward to qualifying. Before we turn our attention to them, it's time to thank all those that make this possible, starting with HyperX. The Lionheart Racing Series powered by HyperX, makers of premier gaming gear like the legendary ultra-comfortable cloud line of gaming headsets. Whatever you play, however you play, HyperX knows we're all gamers. For more information on HyperX products, visit hyperx.com. Next Level Racing is an industry-leading cockpit and motion simulator manufacturer devoted to creating the most immersive experience possible for the global sim racing community. Take your racing to the next level and visit nextlevelracing.com. You're passionate about sim racing, but it always feels a little flat compared to the feeling of driving a real car. Now you can actually feel what it's like to drive a race car. Butt kicker haptic hardware and software are easy to install and let you feel every bump in the track, slip of your tire and engine redline. The tactile feedback is so accurate and realistic, you'll be driving faster and having more fun than ever before. Visit thebuttkicker.com to learn more. If you think sim racing is thrilling, try getting behind the wheel of a real race car. The BMW M4 GT4 experience at the BMW Performance Driving School in Thermal, California puts you in the cockpit of one of BMW's fastest cars, complete with roll cage and racing slicks. You'll get fitted with a racing suit, practice pit stops, and lap their track with pro instructors. Nothing virtual about their thrills. To book your M4 GT4 experience, call or visit the links on screen. Gomez Sim Industries are makers of high-end esports equipment and controls, precision built using nothing but the best materials available today. Passion and handmade craftsmanship drive each made-to-order build, creating a driving experience like no other. Visit GomezSimIndustries.com. Arena is an all-new esports streaming experience driven by real-time interactions between gamers and their communities. Arena brings live broadcast fan engagement to the next level. Get involved and make a difference on arena.tv. As mentioned, drivers rolling out now for a 5-minute qualifying session with the track well left all to themselves. It's up to them to decide how best to work around the track. Often, with 2 laps like this, Joey, 1 lap tends to be a bit of a sacrifice as you set up for the second and flying lap.
You're going to want to spend lap 1 building as much speed as humanly possible. You're flat out around this place, so how can you build up that fastest lap to get every last tenth, to get every last little bit of a mile per hour? You see drivers out already running that high line through 1 and 2, the longest possible radius. You don't have to worry about wearing the tires at all. You just have to worry about keeping that throttle pinned down for as long as humanly possible to build up as much speed as humanly possible.
And being realistic, these first times that we're about to see come onto the board don't really make a difference. It's going to be about the times later on that we really see, especially, of course, with the first lap times probably striking in around the 50-second or 45-second buffer if those are slow rolling and trying to build their tires as they build the speed up. First times on the board, we're watching David Sirwa on his search for what would be a third pole position of the season, an 11th pole position of his career, and now Joey down low and trying to minimize the distance around the track.
And the Oval Championship isn't actually decided yet. The overall championship is decided, but just in terms of Oval points, David Sirwa is only 44 points behind Sean Campbell. So if things go wrong for Sean, if he doesn't even make the grid and Sirwa wins, things could change in the championship. But let's see what he can do to the line, all the way down to the white line, shortest radius possible. And you saw there, he picked up 1.3 seconds on that second lap.
It sees him jump up to provisional pole, but Sean Campbell still on his second flyer, might have a chance to improve, and already Alex Guyon, teammate to Sirwa, has found his way on forward. Campbell trying to arc his way on forward through the corner. He dips 2 wheels down onto the apron. Gandelli's eager to try and maximize things at the end of this qualifying lap, down onto the apron as you are allowed to do on these qualifying runs, and that doesn't look like the correct lap time. And as he comes towards the line, there's no improvement as his technical issues do seem to be causing some problems.
Yeah, Sean was a little bit iffy coming into tonight. He's been having some of those pesky issues with the pesky internet box, but he is here. I think he's going to at least start the race to make sure he gets some points, and that's basically all he needs to do. With the field size we're going to see tonight, as long as he starts the race and scores some points, he's basically going to clinch the Oval Championship as well. So that's all he has to worry about. The Triple Crown, though, that's going to be much closer. We'll get to that a little bit later.
Of course, we've already seen Campbell win the Butt Kicker Sports Car Series this past Monday, so he's going to go and drive a BMW M4 GT4 car at the BMW Performance Driving Center. Jim Herrick was up to 6th. Valenzuela does not improve, and so now with Ricky Hardin and Luis Gonzalez Nunez beginning their qualifying run, so still yet to set what will be their first flying lap. Here comes Drew White, currently dead last, but also we're expecting him to get faster in that Nezumi Graphics LC car. Number 15 unwinds out of turn 4, engine roaring as it cuts towards that start-finish stripe. Again, a 37.096 to beat. It's not going to be up towards there, but should be good enough for a top 10 spot. Drew White to the outside of row 3.
Not half bad there. Ricky Hardin, very, very colorful livery. That's something we love to see here in the Lionheart Retro Series. They're always bringing the livery game, whether it's these guys with the dark and the dark purple and the light pink and every other color you see on the grid. It's all great stuff. Ricky Hardin, a great lap from him. That should put him up into the top 4. Lots of speed once again on that second lap. But you can see there's not much separation at all. 1/10 separates the entirety of the top 10.
And quite a few drivers electing not to set a qualifying lap, so they'll start down towards the back. Will be interesting to see where they go. I think Chris Fowler, by the way, the only driver in the session with an end of line. Other drivers may be thinking sensibilities and trying to stay out of trouble. The Butt Kicker pre-race show will come to an end. The final qualifying session of the season will be in the books. Luis Gonzalez Nunez cuts to the line. It's a 37.167. He's up to 5th, drops a couple of drivers down, but ultimately no one displacing Alex Guyon from the top. And take a picture. It's Raven Lavoie Motorsports 1 and 2.
Yeah, they've clearly figured this place out. They said, you know what, we're putting all of our beans in our qualifying runs this week, and they're going to lock out the front row in a race that's going to be as pack racy as this one. Having that wall of cars up front, that's going to be great for both of them.
Ultimately, maybe not the most important pole position of the season, but it's the second time that Alex Guyon has punched his way to the front of the field. He'll have his teammate alongside. They'll control the running. Let's see how we'll get underway here for the final time. Let's run down trackside, though, to take you through the Butt Kicker starting grid for today's Gomez Sim Industries Championship 250, presented by Next Level Racing. The Raven Lavoie Motorsports pair will take a picture. 19,000 separates the two of them, Guyon and Sirwa, in front of O'Brien and Hardin, with then Luis Gonzalez Nunez and the outgoing champion Mike Razmas. The final time he'll have that number 1 car on his machine for quite a while will be on the outside of row number 3. Inside of row 4 for George Anzaldo Series organizer, he rolls alongside the rookie Drew White with Jim Herrick, and then Sean Campbell confirmed as the champion, now looking to try and add a couple more crowns and jewels onto the throne. Rodrigo Munoz and Sam Fontaine just miss out on a top 10 starting position, about a 10th off the qualifying time, with Chris Reagan, Cristobal Valenzuela, and then Matt Wagner and Matt Telder, the final cars with times on the board. There through the front 8 rows, you go back to 17th to find Chris Stouffer alongside Matt Taylor. He's of course in his own championship fight to focus on today. Sam Ryman, Hugo Gallus, Mike Rigney, and then Michael Gray alongside on that 11th row, and then Richie Hearn and Chris Fowler down at the very back of the field. 125 laps onto the board. The drivers getting the command to roll themselves around, and so before they do so, let's see if we can jump on board and take a look through today's featured onboard cameras. Starting with that number 1 machine, Mike Razmas carries with him HyperX. Whatever you play, however you play, HyperX knows we're all gamers, and HyperX is always ready to game. The always rapid Luis Gonzalez Nunez rides with Next Level Racing. Take your racing to the next level. Visit nextlevelracing.com. And in the 4D racewear car, Jim Herrick carries the butt kicker onboard camera. Makers of high-end esports equipment and controls. Visit buttkicker.com to learn more. So that's some of the featured onboard cameras. Of course, we have plenty of them through the entirety of the field. But now, tension surely rising for the drivers, Joey, as they get underway for the formation lap.
I think everybody in the field knows that this is going to be the most intense race of the year, or at least one of the most intense races of the year. Everybody is going to be packed closely together. You saw how low everybody was able to get in qualifying. That tells you that there's not going to be much in terms of understeer. There's not going to be much in terms of lifting. This is going to be full throttle, full pack racing. And everybody in the field who hasn't won a race this year, they're looking at this race as maybe their best opportunity to get one before the year's over.
So a winner's never come from pole position. A winner's never actually come from higher than 3rd position. 4th has won twice. Dustin Wardlow won from 13th and 15th. Mike Razmas has won from 8th position twice. He's starting a bit better. So is that going to make his job easier? It doesn't bode well for history.
No, I just don't think the statistics are there. I don't think they're there. I really like the 2 Raven Lavoie cars up front, Guyon and Sirois. They're fast in qualifying. They're going to be smart in the race, as they usually are. I think it's going to be one of them, too. I couldn't tell you which one, though.
I think that's probably asking for a bit much, but the pace car peels off and away. Competition, commitment, excitement. This is Lionheart for the final time this season. We're ready to go racing. It's the Gomez Sim Industry Championship 250 presented by Next Level Racing. That's underway. Speeds trickle over 300 kilometers an hour for the first time, but it's out of turn 4 that it is going to be 1 and 2. Guyon and Sirois, no major changes through the field, but as Mike Razmas storms his way around the outside up into 4th position, a tidy start for all machines as they settle into the rhythm.
Guyon and Sirois doing exactly what I thought they might do. They're making a wall of cars that's physically impenetrable, just parking it alongside each other. Guyon can't really do anything up on the top. Sirois just holding his line, or Sirois on the top rather, Guyon holding his line down at the bottom. They can stay as positioned. They can be in total control of this race and not let Michael O'Brien get by either one of them and break them up.
You can see off the back of your race leader, David Sirois, that he's able to paint the white line as it stands right now. 125 lap race, expecting the fuel window to end up being closer to about 40 laps, 45 laps once we factor in potential fuel saving. Question will really be, if you are leading, how much fuel saving are you doing? Already some cars going up high and trying to rip it around the outside. 3 wide, not sure who's getting the most aggressive. That might be Chris Reagan in the blue and pink machine looking up high.
And Drew White was doing a little bit of work up there as well. Didn't do anything for him. You see Michael O'Brien up on the top of Guyon, but I don't think he's really going to be able to do anything up there. He's going to get a solid run out of turn 2, but Guyon's going to have the draft of his teammate, and he's going to hang on. The middle of the field here is going to be absolutely crazy, Arjuna, with Anzaldo and White and Herrick and many, many others. All these guys are looking to get forward early, looking to get track position, because they know it's pretty hard to pass when you're in a pack like this. You need to take advantage and get aggressive early.
Now, if we do get green flag pit stops, that's traditionally when you do start to see the field start to split up just that little bit, and you do kind of want to come in with a handful of cars just to have a little bit of help in terms of draft when you roll off and away. Coming down to pit lane will put you probably 1 full lap down, so something to keep in mind. Not sure exactly what we're thinking in terms of tires and the potential for wear on the bias ply rubber. Guyon already drops behind O'Brien, so now the wall of Raven Lavoie now finds itself displaced, and Madworks and Nezumi Graphics LC poking up high as Michael O'Brien, the Kiwi in the 45, tries to go the long way around.
I'm surprised that he's actually been able to do this. He's been able to break up Guyon. He might actually be able to get by Sirois, although if he is able to take the lead, that could actually be a good thing for both Raven Lavoie drivers. They could slot in behind O'Brien, let him lead some laps, let him waste some fuel, and maybe save some fuel themselves in second and third. Doesn't look like O'Brien's going to be able to take the lead. It's one thing to be able to pass a car that's in dirty air. It's another thing to actually pass the leader in totally clean air.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, the further back you go, the more drivers finding themselves in 3 wide scenarios. You can find, I think that's Anzaldo in the number 6 that's ripping almost 4 seams up high, and each of those seams relatively bumpy, so you want to keep hopefully your car not straddling them for too long. Matt Wagner slides in front of that number 6 and chopping and changing, dirty air being fed to a whole bunch of drivers. O'Brien now looking down low as we get to the end of lap number 6. Not going to get to the point, of course, of tire wearing. Guyon goes back around, and now it's back to Raven Lavoie 1 and 2.
This is interesting because this doesn't really smell like tire or fuel saving to me. This smells like Guyon and Sirois both want to be up front. They're both being aggressive, and they're not really interested in hanging back at all and saving it all, because Guyon just blew it around the outside of O'Brien and gave him another chance to sit in the draft, get a big run, lift out of the throttle a little bit, and save a little bit of fuel if he wants to.
I mean, no matter where you look, it's pretty mad. This is on board with Valenzuela, as he's going to get up the inside of Chris Stouffer momentarily. There you see Chris Fowler, who makes his return to the series in the Stealth Black machine, trying to go up high, hoping not to be cursed today, but he's the one trying to dice his way forward along with Michael Gray. They have double-digit positions gained, 10 spots so far, but it's early running, and the view from up high shows just how frenetic the racing can be and just how, let's say, tense at the same time it is for drivers. 3 wide on corner exit. That's going to be Anzaldo squeezed out wide as Michael Gray in the 888 tries to fire it up his inside.
These are always dicey moments. I always love it when you see a series organizer racing in their actual series. I love it that Anzaldo races in his own series. You see it in many other leagues as well, but it does make you a little bit scared. You know, if you cause a little bit of trouble, if you end up running into him, you don't want to be the center of attention there.
No, that's definitely not the ideal situation. It did seem as though David Sirois led at the line. Guyon may have had a nose in front into corner entry as we ride on board with Chris Stouffer and jump over the shoulder. He has to lift off the throttle there, I do believe, as they just check up out of turn 2. These little moments are what really test the driver's experience. Ricky Hardin's now trying to take it 3 wide. We're not to the end of lap 10, but they're starting to make their moves.
He's thinking I might have a hard into the lead here, but he had about a nose ahead of Guyon on the outside of the back straight. I don't think he's going to have enough momentum to really do anything. It's just too wide of a radius up there. It's too long to be able to do anything because you're in clean air. Guyon's also in clean air. Sirois also in clean air. You're not really making up any extra momentum. You're just running a longer radius at the same speed as the guys in the bottom, so that's why you can't really make a pass up there unless you're unless you have a full head of steam or you have stronger tires. Making a pass up there in clean air is not necessarily going to work in a 3-wide situation like this.
Looks like Michael O'Brien ran out of steam. Michael Gray continues his charge. He's now up into 4th position. 17 spots gained for him. We're 4 wide at the front at the end of what is lap 10. I hope they've got a hold on things and are going to calm things down in a second. It's Sirois and Guyon, the 2 machines down low, then Hardin along with Matt Wagner ripping up high. Not exactly what you're hoping to see 10 laps into a 125-lap race.
It was what I was hoping to see, Arjuna. I want even more. Remember what happened at the Race Spot US 500, Part 2, 5 wide? You
weren't there at Motegi, is all I'm going to say. We remember.
We can fit 6 of these cars wide, I think.
Don't say that.
We almost couldn't fit 2 of them wide there. That was almost contact between Gray and Wagner, I believe, or maybe O'Brien. But I think we can go 6 wide if we really try.
They'll hear you and they'll try that. Sean Campbell, we know, is probably listening in somewhere and maybe playing some Clone Hero, right?
I mean, he has fallen off the pack. You can see him just in the back of your screen, but there's a rear wing in the middle of the track, and I did not see who that belongs to.
That's Chris Fowler without a shadow of a doubt. How cursed can you get? Hopefully the iRacing gods will smile down on him, but he's going up high. He's letting the field down low, and that's not how he wanted his return to go.
No, it is not. I mean, he's in the low downforce setup now. He's going to have some pretty good straight line speed, but I don't think he's going to be able to hold on to that for much longer. There was somebody else at the back of the field who got latched onto his rear wing, but there's what happened. Just a little bit of contact. Well done by everybody to not lose it, but a little bit of contact at such high speeds, that'll knock a very fragile rear wing off very easily.
Take another look at it. Fortunate not to have a caution fly. And I think Fowler is going to be forced to bring it down to pit lane. This is that angle from up above. So Nunez, the one that gets shoved up high. And then, well, fortunate that really no one else got tangled up in that one.
Yeah, very well avoided. Very well driven by Chris Fowler, for that matter, to not totally lose it. Take a look at it again. That's Nunez in the number 14. And I think Chris was trying to go for a line up top. He was trying to find a gap, and it just closed that barest little bit. And everybody else behind had to check up a little bit. One car just couldn't quite check up enough and ended up knocking that wing off. And Chris Fowler is now down pit lane. He had to do it.
Didn't think he ever had much of a choice in the end. So Michael Gray's gone from, well, effectively the back to the front. He's now up high and trying to run in that third line. You've got Ricky Harden in the middle, Raven Lavoie migrated down low and just trying to, I think, try and stay out of trouble. One thing that you have to consider, whether you are oval racing, whether you are in a stock car or one of these open wheel machines, traffic tends to slide up the track. I always feel a little more comfortable when I'm a car down low, but maybe we're at that point in the race where the car down low is running out of grip because David Sewell's lost all momentum. Ricky Harden, Michael Gray, they'll take the lead.
Yeah, we can watch Sirois here through 3 and 4 in the dirty air. He's second in line on the bottom. Actually looked pretty okay through 3 and 4, but that's actually a wider radius because you're coming out onto the front straight. It's not quite as tight as the run through turns 1 and 2. See it again here on the bottom. Gray and Harden both still there. Chris Stouffer's trying to make it 4 wide. He's got a nose in there, but it's going to stratify out before he can keep that nose to the outside and keep it 4 wide.
The only problem I have with Chris Stouffer's livery is that it's not got enough chrome on that blue and white car, but see Michael O'Brien's perspective, he seems to just be riding at this time, doesn't want to force any issues. Not even halfway through a fuel run. Just to put that in context, we've ticked away a decent number of minutes in the race, it feels like already, probably about going on 10 plus minutes or so at this point, but I wonder what the heart rates are like for some of these drivers. This is where I wish we had, you know how in IndyCar they sometimes bring some of that data up as Michael Gray will take the lead and Ricky Harden slides up high. You can see just how difficult it is to keep down low. His heart rate would have gone up right there.
It definitely would have. We need the Whoop data. We need the biometric analysis by somebody who would be so kind to donate it to us. If we got some cameras, we've had drivers do that in the past. They've had their biometric data connected to their cameras.
Yeah, but we don't know how reliable that is. Come on, we've questioned it.
I think it's probably reliable. I think.
How many of them are really reliable? Come on, we were talking about this on Tuesday.
I don't know the limits of like the Apple Watch or whatever that tracks your heart rate, but I feel it's pretty easy to track heart rate. That's just you put a light up to a vein, and that's what tracks the heart rate. So I feel like any piece of technology can do that pretty easily.
Say that, but then it's got to track it while your watch is also bouncing around on your wrist. So, I don't know.
We should hook a driver up to an EKG. Just full heart rate test, whole race long.
While they're in a motion simulator as well. I like the way that we're going.
Put them in an MRI.
Sirois and Guyon down to 5th and 6th positions as now Gray and Stouffer alongside. It's going to be Matt Wagner from 4th that pops out first before he gives Ricky Harden the chance to do so himself. So they fan out 3 through the corner, but still not yet at lap 20. Only Chris Fowler's confirms the DNF from this race. I don't believe that there's going to be any sort of race control intervention as a result of that one, at least here in the immediacy, but maybe post-race we'll be taking a look at and something will be handed down. Out of the corner will come to lap 20 of 125. Luis Gonzalez Nunez ducking up a little bit high as well, but we've managed to stay out of trouble for the most part, even with now 3 wide once more.
Ricky Harden back up to the top, trying to make that wide radius work. It works really well for him on the front straight. He's able to get a run. He's able to lead at the line occasionally. But yet again, through turns 1 and 2, the wider radius just doesn't let him carry the momentum in a way that he really needs to. But look down at the bottom. Matt Wagner's found a gap to the bottom. The bottom lane totally open for him. And he's going to say, thank you very much. I'll lead this lap.
I think that's the thing, right? They're so willing to not be all the way on the white line around the lap that it gives that door open. Gray will get back underneath though and lead at the line, importantly. Something just to note if these drivers are testing out things that they may need to use at the end of the race. You can see the gold and white machines, the teammates going to be side by side on the exit with Guyon in the 08, the car in the middle of that shot. It's an angry hornet's nest of a pack. You can see they've been able to drop, though. Richie Hearn and Sean Campbell behind. Matt Telder even further behind as he jinks and weaves back and forth.
I think Matt Telder was one of the drivers involved in the Chris Fowler incident. I think he got hit by that rear wing. So he's off pace, and he's just kind of having some alone time. Sean Campbell lost the draft deliberately. Well, I don't think he lost the draft deliberately. He went to the back of the pack deliberately and ended up losing the draft because he is suffering still from those technical issues. He's just trying to make it to the end of the race. And at least he's got a buddy to play with in Richie Hearn. Or at least he did for a millisecond there. Now he does again.
Richie Hearn not unfamiliar with his own internet dramas. So I guess what do they say? Misery loves company? Something like that?
Well, where is Richie currently based?
Richie's somewhere in Nevada.
Okay, so not anywhere near Sean Campbell.
No,
I was going to theorize if they
not.
had similar internet issues, but no, not exactly opposite parts of the country.
Richie's issue is that he's been waiting for Starlink. I'm not sure if he's actually gotten it yet or not, but yeah, he was in such a remote place that basically Starlink was the sole hope that he had to save him. Christopher with a slide up high. Michael Gray with the 2-foot shuffle back down low. He'll run his way back to the point as now Wagner will squeeze his way 3 abreast. And note how the Triple Eight on corner entry took half a second before he came down low and just arced his way through the corner.
And you also saw a couple cars back. Guyon, second of the 2 Raven Lavoie cars. He sent it in turn 3 as well and lost a ton of time. Had to lift out of it, understeered through the corner, got very, very tight, and just couldn't quite follow. I think both of those Raven Lavoie cars have actually done a pretty bad job of saving their stuff early on. They're starting to fall off a little bit. They're feeling the full effects of the dirty air and just not really able to make up any track position right now. They're stuck in a bubble behind this wall of 3 cars up front.
I mean, look at some of these static shots that you get. Static shots, I think, really also just get to illustrate the raw inertia that these cars are putting out, even if you don't feel the wind being moved like you would in reality. The look on board with Rodrigo Munoz looks relatively tame. The static shocks make it look anything but. They're 4 wide, but 4 wide for 4th position, let's be clear. This is starting to build. We're only 15 laps away from probably seeing them down to pit lane. At that point, you will want to be down low. Look how David Sirra as well as Alex Guyon starting to struggle even more.
You'll want to be down low, but you'll also want to be up front because you don't want to risk the possibility of losing the draft after the pit cycle and losing a group like this. So if you've been saving a little bit, if you've been hanging back for a little bit, you're going to want to pounce early. And I'm not seeing many drivers who are really able to do that just yet. Jim Herrick's making a little bit of forward progress, actually, though. He might have heeded my advice, and he might be saying, I've waited long enough. I've been a little bit deeper in the field than I would have liked. I want to get up into the top 5 or even the top 3 before I come down pit lane.
It's really difficult to actually try and cover races like this, to be completely honest, because there's so much going on. How do we even describe what's important? Staying out of trouble. Let's be just crystal clear there. It's the only thing that matters right now. You're there at the end. You've got a chance of winning. It's anyone's game. As we mentioned, the winners never come from higher than 4th position before, and those at the front all started outside of the top 10. Look at those movers and shakers on the left side of your screen. 3 wide between drivers that combined, if you do the math and tot it all up between the 3 of them, have gained 47 spots this race.
I'm surprised you were able to do that. You added up 3 numbers. That's too many numbers for a commentator. 3? That's big.
It's where my degree in computer science sometimes comes in helpful.
But then you ask a computer to do the math anyway.
Yeah, I should do that a little bit more, shouldn't I? It was funny. I was in a meeting earlier today where we were doing some math, and I legitimately said, don't trust me. I'm a commentator, and I say never trust a commentator's math. So it's slipping into everywhere I go. They're not 3 wide this time at the front, which is a good thing to see. The further back you are in this pack, though, let's just go and touch on what will be an important point. Take Matt Taylor as an example here. He's only in 13th spot. He's been riding. He's probably been on half throttle most of this stint and has saved the most amount of fuel of most of the people further forward.
Exactly. That's exactly what he's doing, and we may see him reap the rewards in just a couple of moments. Nobody's going to come in this time around, but pit stop is coming soon. Also, Arjuna, I like to imagine that at your job, people like to passive-aggressively commentate at you. So, like, you're going to the printer. Oh, and Arjuna is going to the printer. He's printing the meeting notes.
You're just stealing ads from, like, ESPN now, aren't you?
I like to believe that happens to you.
And no, I work from home, so unless I was going to do that to myself, which would be very, very narcissistic.
Talking guitar.
Can you imagine? I mean, I've heard they have this TED on Peacock, the new show. I mean, can you imagine that?
I need to watch that show.
I need to too. I've heard it's very good.
Everybody says it's very good.
Joey, you also have to watch Jetlag. We talked about this on Tuesday.
I have to watch Jetlag. I have to watch Jury Duty. I have to watch a bunch of stuff. But I don't even get a discount on Peacock. So I got to find somebody to mooch it off of.
That is a shame. You'd think they would at least give you the ad-supported version, you know? But,
yeah, something like that.
Regardless, as we get to the end of what will be lap 30 this time by, let's talk about weather conditions very briefly because we are in the afternoon, which is where that weather build-up is going to come from. 41 degrees Celsius works out to about 106 Fahrenheit, or 106 in the wrong units, whichever way you want to look. It's only going to get cooler from here, though, as we work through the afternoon into the early evening.
That also translates to 565 degrees Rankine.
Rankine?
So if there's any Rankine users out there,
is that
one was for you.
Is that a unit of measurement?
It is. I think it's like it's an archaic like engineering temperature scale.
Okay. It's because the only other one I was aware of is Kelvin, and if anyone actually uses Kelvin in their day-to-day lives, then congratulations,
Nerd.
You're even more nerdy than some of us.
There's also Romer, I think. I don't even know what that one's all about. But there's a bunch. If you go to the temperature Wikipedia page, you can open a whole new world.
That is what I'm going to read the next time I am on a sound check. I am just saying that right here, right now. We look for
Rankine, Fahrenheit, Celsius.
I have to sing it as a song as well. Yes, of course. 3 wide with, I believe that's Reagan in the 19 that's up high. Down low below him you have Ricky Harden, David Sirwa, your second place starter, who's now dropped back slightly, of course, the very outskirts off the top 10. About an hour of racing if we stay green, and I say stay green, knocking on wood A, but B, recognizing that look at that pit entry. It looks easy, but coming off of the banking, communicating to the cars behind if you're coming in from the front that you need to slow down to come down to pit lane, these are all risks that we're really about to come across.
It's very high stakes. Think about some of the most high stakes braking zones on a road course. When you're going into a hairpin, one of the best passing opportunities. You want to be better on the brakes. That's where you can make up a lot of time. That's where you can make up a lot of positions. But when you're braking into a hairpin, you don't go by the possibility that you may get a drive-through penalty and end your race if you get it a little bit too deep. That's how risky it is on pit entry. You've got to be fast, you've got to be consistent, and you've got to be very deep on the brakes. But if you're that little bit too deep, you're done. Your race is over unless you immediately get a caution and get a couple wave rounds.
You can see those behind struggling to keep up. Sean Campbell's internet really having issues. He's communicating with Matt Telder, though, in the RaceSpotTV YouTube chat, so it's good to see where their priorities are.
He's got enough internet for that, or is he doing it in, like, semaphore?
Ooh, is he Morse coding it and having to say it?
He might have to be.
Sending it via radio communications. Yeah, Matt Telder's jumping in as well. Like you say, I think did get tangled up with that rear wing that went flying across from Chris Fowler's unfortunate incident. And goes to show that the new damage model, well, you still have to be careful about the aftermath of the incidents.
We just got a message in the chat from Luke Daniels, by the way. He says, you don't say degrees ranking, you just say ranking. And to that, Luke, I'm putting an L up on my forehead like Smash Mouth. That's what I say about that.
Get educated, Joey. shaking my head.
I'm getting educated. I opened the tab while you were talking there. There's one temperature scale that's Romer. That was almost a disaster, though. No more temperature scales for me. It's getting hot up front.
How close do you want to get 1 pixel seemingly separated Christopher from Michael Gray? And my voice went up a couple of octaves in reaction.
I didn't even know you could do that.
Oh, man.
I've never heard high Juno like that.
Legitimately, I saw that and I thought we're about to see the big one, because when it starts up front, there's only one place it's going, unfortunately. So kudos to both drivers for keeping it out of trouble there. But like we said, we're nearing pit stop windows. It is only going to get tighter from here.
Yeah, you do not want to be intersecting wheels. You don't want to be doing a little bit of West Coast pop lock like that, because tire-to-tire contact at these speeds leads to absolute catastrophe, and there's no saving it. These are old open wheel cars. The suspensions are made of fortune cookie paper. If you touch them two together, they're gonna break and you're gonna be done.
It's just like an RKO out of nowhere, in effect, as we ride on board with that number 99 machine of David Sirois. Not going to look to be 3 wide, at least on Michael O'Brien. I think he's really just trying to get a bit of clean air onto the nose. Will slide up the track as looks like Rodrigo Munoz trying to pinch Christopher just that tad, a little bit up towards the front. The maneuvering for track position has not taken part just yet. But just to confirm, 23 started this race. Chris Fowler, the only driver to have retired. That's 3 wide into the opening corner. Chris Reagan going highest of them all, though, in the search for clean air.
He's a new name up to this top pack. Rodrigo Munoz as well. Those are some of the guys who were hanging back early on. They were in the back of this very large pack for about 30 laps, and they finally said, it's time to go. Time to drive. We're going to the front. Munoz once again up in the 3rd lane, up on the top, not able to do anything up there when he's in clean air. But if he can get the draft of Christopher, if he can get a run built, he is in a pretty good spot right now to stay at least in the top 3 once this pit stop comes around.
That was a lot of shining off of Christopher's machine there into the opening corner. Camera is almost blinded by the sight of that 13. We're about to hit that magic number, though, where I think not the window necessarily is going to be open, but realistically, drivers that have not done as much fuel saving are going to be starting to think, all right, need to be shuffling down, putting myself in position to come down towards the lane. Michael Gray's interestingly being able to hold his car within that first seam all the way through those final couple of corners indicates that tires may have started to feel the pain, but still able to hold on as at the line. I think Gray had it.
I think he did, but you mentioned this a couple laps ago, that this is kind of practice for the finish. That's why you're seeing a lot of different lanes be used. If everybody was, the smartest driver in the world, they would be running double file right now. Everybody would be saving fuel. Nobody would be making passes right now. But everybody wants both track position, and they want to know what to do on the final lap. If you are in 3rd, is there anywhere you can go to get the run to the line? If you're 2nd on the top and in totally clean air, is it physically possible to get the run to the line? This is all great practice for the finish, and hopefully some of these guys will be lucky enough to actually be able to use it at the finish, and it'll all be for something.
Last lap, it was actually Christopher by 4 thousandths at the line. This lap, it was Michael Gray by 14 thousandths, so swings and roundabouts, hard to really tell what's going to happen at the end. Picking a winner in a race like this is kind of like throwing a coin up in the air and then trying to decide which currency the coin was, because it was picked out of a random assortment kind of deal. It wouldn't be fair to anyone to ask for a predicted winner.
I'm just trying to think why we say swings and roundabouts. Like, why those 2 words to mean that phrase?
Children's playgrounds.
Are there I guess, yeah, I guess you could call that thing a roundabout. I guess that does make sense.
That's my assumption. I'll be honest and say I have absolutely no idea. I
gotta read some etymology on this, because I want to know. I want to know how we got that. I want to know where Chock-a-Block came from.
Chocolate. Willy Wonka, no. Again, I'm
Maybe.
just making stuff up.
Oh, here we go. Everybody's in.
I was going to say,
everybody's in.
Richie Hearn's already come in, and so now Christopher, Michael Gray, and Rodrigo Munoz. It's 3 at the front that dive their way down onto the lane and seem to have gone into the pit box, or rather to the pit lane, without any drama. No one dinged for pit lane speeding, at least yet.
And I think they were going to take some of those tires off, so no harm, no foul, and locking the heck out of them there. But how bad were all of those guys at saving fuel? Michael Gray was leading for a good portion of that early stint, so he's understandably used up a lot of fuel. Chris Reagan is now going to take the lead. He hasn't led a single lap all day. And is that going to mean he's going to come down right now? Yes, it is, but this is getting very dicey. Some drivers were trying to come down from the top lane.
I'm pretty sure that was Ricky Harden, and the question will be, does he now have enough fuel to do an additional lap? He's trying to come down low and minimize the distance around. It's Reagan, Wagner, Gallus, as well as Campbell, the 4 drivers that come in on the following lap as we watch the drivers rejoining. So that's Christopher, Michael Gray, of course, and Matt Telder. Here comes that 2-foot shuffle down low as they try to get single file in towards turn number 3.
I'm sorry, Ricky Harden. I felt your exact pain today on Route 1 driving from Greenwich, Connecticut back home. I couldn't get to the other lane, but he was finally able to do so, and he is going to bring it down pit lane with a whole host of others. Only O'Brien, Taylor, Rasmus, and White have been able to save 1 extra lap of fuel, and you saw them all where? At the back in the middle of the field, just hanging out. So it's they're reaping the rewards now.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on the pit lane as there goes O'Brien, Taylor, Rasmus, and White. Still in the draft as well, just to note. Race off of pit lane going to be important, but Reagan, Stouffer, and Gray have all found each other in the draft of those that have already made their pit stops. Look at Taylor go the long way around. Surely he's going 1 more lap. Yes, he will. Or is that just very confident to pit lane? He spins in front of his teammate, I thought, and goodness gracious me, there are now a couple of drivers with black flags. It's Luis Gonzalez Nunez and Chris Reagan, though. None of those in shot.
What?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
How?
I don't know.
It was a little bit of an optical illusion there because the pit lane attenuator looked like it was coming up, and O'Brien went to the outside of Taylor, and I thought he was going straight into it, but that was craziness. We're going to have to see another view of that because I don't know how both everybody got that slowed down and how O'Brien didn't eat pit lane attenuator at 200 miles per hour. Look at this. All right, there was more room than I thought, but he also did very well to not knock over the pit entry cone and get a penalty.
That was actually Rasmus, actually, just to correct myself on the mistake.
Yeah.
So, well, it was a little bit less close than we thought. Taylor actually gets off scot-free, all things considered. Race off a pit road, the blend back up. He nets top 5 position with O'Brien now 10th. Realistically, it doesn't really matter where you feed out because you just needed to feed out in this leading group. Mike Rasmus, though, unfortunately, may have got dinged for some damage because he's still sitting in pit lane and has not rolled out.
I don't think it would be a penalty because we would have seen the black flag. Because he didn't clip the cone at all. He didn't move the cone. He didn't go over the line. I think he was within the rules, but also that pit lane time, 51.9 seconds. Luis Gonzalez Nunez got a penalty, and that was 52 seconds. So I wonder if Rasmus did get a penalty after all, and we just didn't see it in the sim in time, potentially.
That is a very good possibility. And again, he did go wide on pit entry and dipped his tires into the grass. So could have been that. If you take a look at the track map, you can see that, yes, there are some now stragglers, but even though there is a bit of separation between Matt Wagner and Michael O'Brien, it is still very much effectively 16 cars. With draft and at the front, still, with less than 50 laps complete, we're back to 3 wide with Sirois, Stouffer, and Gray, those battling it out.
And I have to give Sirois a lot of credit here. He had a very short pit stop, I believe the shortest in the field, or one of the shortest in the field, because he was not up front. He was up front early on after qualifying up front, but backed out of it. Didn't look to be too strong in the middle of the pack, but he stayed there, lifted out early, saved a bunch of fuel, didn't move forward, and gained all of his spots on pit lane. We'll see if he can do the same thing again. It's great to be able to have these short stops and take the lead, but if you can't stay up there, it's not going to do you much good in 75 laps.
So at what point would a caution end up making this no longer a race where they need to make a pit stop? Well, that point would come with, let's say, 45 laps to go, which means lap 80, which comes after the next green flag cycle of pit stop. So I guess there's no immediate concern about when the timing of the caution would be, although I guess there is a greater concern building right now. George Anzaldo runs in 10th, leads the gaggle behind him. They're now lost out of drafting range of those up front.
Yeah, this is not good for these guys. That's a 2.5 second gap between O'Brien and Wagner, and that is just simply not make-upable. That is not attainable to do just on raw speed. They need a caution to make that up, even if they do a little bit of Frogger up front and Wagner and Anzaldo switch back every single lap. They're just not going to be faster than this pack, so the need for a caution is not just for Sean Campbell and Richie Hearn anymore, it's for all but 9 drivers.
And they need to work together. That's the other thing in that second group. You see these drivers, yes, they're going 2 and 3 wide, but they're having at least the overspeeds that give them that little bit of a push in terms of lap times. When you run single file, counterintuitively, actually doesn't mean you build up the speed in the same way. As long as you're not side drafting here, you do get that draft slingshot effect. We have 50 laps now complete, running into the final 5 laps of the season as Michael Gregg goes from outside to middle, forces Stouffer out of second, and now will try and take the lead.
Gonna try and make it happen, but this looks very familiar. It looks like the start of the first stint with everybody just kind of jostling around a little bit. There is Matt Gray back up to the front, at least at the line. We'll see if he's able to clear Sirwa in a couple of moments. But I also did just realize, Arjuna, in the last couple of seconds while I was talking, that make-upable isn't a word. I think surmountable is the word. I got it back.
Insurmountable would be the correct word, I think, instead of unmakeupable.
Yeah, the gap is insurmountable. Yeah, there we go.
But you know, that doesn't sound as optimistic. It sounds very dull.
Yeah, sometimes I just speak English like somebody who doesn't speak English, which is weird because I don't speak any other languages.
Well, as these drivers continue just to build up their advantage, here is that second grouping, still now trying to go 3 wide as, running out of room. Rodrigo Munoz finds George Anzaldo there. Somehow they manage to just about squeeze the 4 Lotus 79s in amongst one another. I think the other thing that's not helping them is it's just slightly smaller of a grouping, and there's a little less air being moved around at this stage. There's the jink back underneath. You can see behind Luis Gonzalez Nunez running 1 lap down. Oh, how frustrated he must be feeling right now.
Yeah, he is not having a good time, and it's especially unfun when you're in a combination like this where you're just full throttle all the way around the track. Nothing is more boring and nothing is more frustrating than seeing the pack slowly get further and further away, and you are literally just driving in circles. People who aren't familiar with motorsports say racing like this is just driving in circles. Well, this is the one scenario where that's actually true.
This is legitimately the driving in circles part. Yeah, it's not great. This weekend, though, of course, let's not forget that iRacing special events begin in earnest. We had the iRacing Roar last weekend, Daytona 24 coming. And if you want to drive in circles, well, the iRacing Daytona 500 is not too far away. And, of course, with that, a full complement of races following the NASCAR schedule, based around, of course, that NASCAR iRacing series. So do join us on RaceSpotTV for all of that. Should be a lot of fun. They're coming up on some lap traffic. Matt Telder pulls down low, is going to drop off the leading lap, but wanted no part of holding up the leaders.
I think it's too confusing that there's a Matt Telder and a Matt Taylor in this series, and a Matt Wagner for that matter, but he's okay, so I think we need to have a battle. Only one of Telder and Taylor can actually keep the name, the name Matt. One of the other ones has to change it.
How are we going to settle this? Where are we doing a race?
I don't know. Right here? We can't do it right here because we didn't announce the competition beforehand, so that wouldn't be fair.
Nope.
But we need to have a race of Matts.
What we should do is send them out. Delara IR18, the IndyCar, Alton Park National B.
Yes, that sounds beautiful. This is one of my many harebrained ideas, Arjuna. You know that when we get to points in races like this, where we're just kind of in a little bit of a holding pattern, that's when I really start to generate ideas. How many drivers have over 10,000 I rating right now? Is it 9 or?
Oh no. We're up to like 30 at this point.
We're up to 30 now.
Oh, it's crazy. It's I rating inflation is real.
Well, my idea is that we have a race with only those drivers that are over 10K, and we put them just in the most ridiculous combos possible that have never been raced before. And after the end of it all, somebody's the best driver ever in iRacing history.
That is honestly not a bad idea.
I've basically invented VCO Pro Sim Infinity, but a little bit more stupid.
Yeah, well, you know what? We're going to do that. Now, unfortunately, Joe, I'm going to steal that idea from you, so I apologize in advance, but thank you for the idea.
Yes, we're going to have, like, Lotus 79s at the Porsche Experience Center or something like that.
Well, the thing is, I really like the idea It's not just 10,000 on road, where again we do have 30-something drivers there.
Ooh, maybe in the 10,000 iRating challenge, the winner wins $10,000.
Is that coming out of your paycheck?
They might have to.
Okay, there we go. Joey's putting up the 10K prize pool as well. There we go. But we get 10K drivers on oval, 10K drivers on road, 10K drivers on dirt road / dirt oval as well.
Do those are there any 10Ks on dirt road?
Oh, yes, there are. At least Jacob Rafoss, without a shadow of a doubt. Cool. I'm just trying to think. How would we make this fair? We need to do 2 races. One being the dirt street stock at Bristol Dirt.
So basically the least skilled dirt race humanly possible to even the field out?
Exactly. And then Long Beach with the Pro 2 Light.
There's just too many good combos. There's too many untapped markets of racing. You know, we have all of our fun with the IndyCar and the Lotus 79 at Auto Club, but we're not thinking enough about trucks at Long Beach and Formula V at the Porsche Experience Center. We need some craziness every once in a while.
I'm not even joking here. You've got me thinking, Joey. This is going to happen.
The 10K challenge. I mean, we're basically going to have that. I feel like on Friday / Saturday night. I have a feeling a lot of them are going to be there in the iRacing Daytona 24, but I want just them on track. SOF over 10,000.
It's also different, right? When you're in an endurance race and you have people in teams, we want them all by themselves and fighting for themselves. I don't know. Legitimately, this might be. You have a lot of bad puns, a lot of bad ideas.
I'm gonna have to go to Greenwich, Connecticut. I'm gonna go to the hedge funds, and I'm gonna pitch them the 10K challenge and find somebody who's willing to give us $10,000, and then we'll be in business.
Now, unfortunately, you're not in such a great time to probably do that. You should have done that 12 months ago. And then we could have done $25,000.
Well, we're going to be waiting for 25K then.
Yeah, you see, we got to set the expectations high. 4 wide at the front once again as we close in on the halfway mark of this race. This leading gaggle still, of course, of 9 machines. You have Taylor and O'Brien, the Nizumi Graphics LC Madworks teammates, sitting at the back and sipping the fuel and just running as they are. I think they're in the best position right now. They are probably the happiest bunch of the field.
And if there is anybody watching this for the first time, if you're wondering why we're not quite as amazed by 4 wide racing as most people would be, it's because these are very experienced drivers in this type of racing. 4 wide in a pack like this might look like a little bit of a plane crash waiting to happen, but these guys know what they're doing. There's plenty of room on this racetrack being given. It's going to get a little bit more dicey by the end of the race, though. When track position actually matters, when the aggression gets notched up that little bit, you're going to start seeing more aggressive and maybe slightly stupider moves, and that's when things are really going to get exciting. That's where we're going to decide the winner. But right now, it's still a little bit of holding, a little bit of saving, waiting for that final stop to get out of the way, and then in the final stint, it'll all ratchet up.
And of course, let's not forget that we did get plenty excited when they were in that mega 22-23 car pack initially with some of the 3-4 wides, but they've settled in. They're not really making as many daring moves anymore, and definitely those up towards the front separated from those behind who are willing to save just a little bit of fuel. Don't go anywhere though on RaceSpotTV. Excitement continues to build as we near the final checkered flag of the 2023-2024 Lionheart Retro Series. Champions already crowned, bragging rights on the line. We're here at Fontana for a 7th straight year to close the books on another great year of Lotus 79 racing. Welcome back to RaceSpotTV on the run to the checkered flag. We're live from Auto Club from California for our traditional season showdown for the Gomez Sim Industries Championship 250. Welcome along to RaceSpotTV, our junior Kenki party alongside with Joey Tebben as they continue to duke it out 2 and 3 wide on occasion at the front. It's a 9-car breakaway that's seen themselves stretch an advantage to now almost 7 full seconds to those behind. And Joey, as it runs right now, we're only about 15 or so laps away from getting into the final pit stop sequence of the campaign.
And we will have to start thinking about the impact of those first pit stops. Did anybody go a tiny little bit shorter in anticipation of being able to make it to the end on one more stop? And are they going to have to go slightly longer on this second stop? Michael Gray had a decent stop the first time around, 12 seconds. That's about bog standard with the rest of the field. David Sirwa, for example, though, 0.2 faster in the box. Has he put a little bit less fuel in that first stop? And will he have to put more in on the second stop? We're going to see very, very soon.
Just watch the hands at work. It's quite bumpy, but could be worse. The setup seemingly giving them confidence, allowing them the ability to run the close 3 wide formations that we've seen. That was another very close moment between Michael Gray and Chris Stouffer, but to be fair, the two drivers have given each other just enough racing room through most of the race. The sun continues to set, by the way, so I'm sure the temperature's dropping off, giving these drivers a little bit more grip, might also just eat a little bit more fuel as now we dip to within 55 laps to go, 10 laps away from getting to the point where if we saw a caution before drivers were down on pit lane, I think the field would come in synchrony.
You would think, though, but the pit window in that first stint was separated by about 4 laps, I think, between the first driver that came in and the last driver that came in, so I don't know. I don't know if you can really take a risk, though. If you're able to go 1 lap longer on fuel, is it really worth the risk of driving a lap on your own and losing the pack? Every driver in this top 9 is debating that right now and hoping that they can come in with a group of buddies and not lose the draft, but that's going to be the caution coming together up on the top. It's finally happened.
It was Stouffer and Hardin. Who else got tangled up? It might just have been those two. Although no, David Sirwa seems like he might have been mixed up. Front wing definitely damaged. Second plaque will fly on through as the caution is out for the first and maybe only time tonight. We'll have to wait and see. Let's jump back in time, take a look at the replay, and well, I think it's probably only fitting to try and see if we can ride on board with David Sirwa, who rode into the scene of the accident.
And there was absolutely nothing he could do there. It was past the point of human reaction time. Once he could react, his teammate was broadside in front of him. But you can see Stouffer and Hardin up on the top seam, up above that third line. Stouffer comes up and up and up and just clips the wheels of Hardin, ends up turning him right in front of Guyon, right in front of Sirwa. That was just Stouffer not quite realizing that there was a car as close as he was up on the top. Came up about a lane and a half, and there was not open track there.
Ride with Taylor's Nezumi Graphics LC Madworks car. I mean, he's lucky that everyone around him also seemed to recognize the danger that they were facing, on board with his teammate Michael O'Brien, who was directly behind that as they headed off into the opening corner.
Whoa, that was very, very close. Old Potatoes O'Brien almost took a tire to the helmet there, but he just barely made it under Ricky Hardin's left front there, I think.
Wow. So, I think the field probably going to be into pit lane. Question will be, are we going to see anything different between any of the drivers? There they come. See if anyone stays out to try and get a point for leading a lap, but seemingly only Sam Ryman's going to do that. Everyone else is going to come on in and expect Ryman in the next time by. Important to hit your marks, not to slide through the box, and then hope not to speed on pit exit. We mentioned it earlier, no driver assist, Joey. It's just down to the 2 hands, the 2 feet.
Sam Ryman, an iRacing broadcaster himself, understandable that he knows how to get TV time, but it's going to be a debate here. Do you split this stint half and half? Do you take full fuel here and go for a splash in the final stint? It looks like there's some debate within everybody. There's some shorter stops. I think you're seeing some drivers take full fuel. You're seeing some drivers, like the 2 up front, though, getting full repairs. Guyon and Sirwa, they're going to be there for a while.
So Jim Herrick leads from Michael O'Brien, and then Michael Gray, Drew White, Matt Taylor, the rest of the net top 5 once we see Sam Ryman back down into the lane. First caution of the night, and, well, hoping that we get to the point where we don't have to be talking about how cautions breed cautions, because Yeah, like we were saying at the start of this show at the arena event details, traditionally this race, not one for many cautions. Average number, about 3 or so over the 6 previous races.
I don't think it's going to be physically possible to save to the end of the race, unless maybe you come in with 1 lap to go in the caution, fill up the tank, come back out, and save just bucket loads of fuel. But I think the amount of fuel you'd have to save there would be enough, or you'd have to drive slow enough that you'd lose the draft to save that amount of fuel. So I don't know if anybody's going to be able to do it, but if you are somebody from the back of the field who really needs to take a risk, I don't know, maybe we'll see somebody try it out.
As expected, Sam Ryman's down to the lane. It will leave. Is that a car that's going to get a lap back? There's Alex Guyon, who's rolling around. Mike Rasmas, as well as Luis Gonzalez Nunez, going to cycle up and grab a lap back. So the pair of those drivers not actually getting a chance to top off. They are the ones who will be hoping for a quick caution here. And one thing to remember is that while we started 2x2, restart rules are going to see us get underway single file, and with Jim Herrick in that 40 Raceware car getting us back underway.
There are a few drivers bringing it down pit lane. Campbell, Wagner, Galaz, they're going for a little bit of extra fuel in the tank. If anybody's going to pull off an alternate pit strategy, Sean Campbell can't really win the race on track because he's scuppered by his internet issues. I don't think anybody trusts him or himself to actually race with people without causing trouble and causing a little bit of latency contact. But if he can win the race on fuel strategy, he doesn't have to worry about passing anybody on track. He can pass them all on strategy.
Lights are off on the pace car, so we should be getting ready to go for what might be a 50-lap dash, but I think that's probably being a bit too optimistic, isn't it?
Probably. I think it might be a 2-lap dash and then a 49-lap dash, but I don't know. We were pretty good until now. We had 73 laps of green flag running, including a green flag pit stop. I think it's very possible we go to the end from here.
It was building, let's not forget, though. We're ready to go. Pace car will peel off and away, hopefully to leave us to the green. Jim Herrick in that 40 Raceware car has the Kiwi Michael O'Brien, the rookie Michael Gray lined up behind as the green flag back out at Fontana. And already Drew White seemingly alongside as Michael Gray has to defend off into the opening corner. White wasn't passed before he got to the line. Important, no black flag there. Will allow him to continue to run. Out of turn 2 they will go. White up to 3rd. And the field still building their momentum back up with 19 cars scoring on the leading lap.
And these are really critical corners because on lap 1, when you're 2x2 in the initial start, it's much easier to keep the pack close together. It's much easier. You're much closer in contact with other cars. When you restart single file like this, there tends to be bigger breakups as you go back in the field. You can see the top 8 or 9, or the top 7 rather, they're very close together, but everybody from Sam Fontaine back, they have not quite had the restarts they need, and they need to make sure they don't lose the draft because they've already lost a full second.
Yeah, you got to wonder if those at the front of that group need to try and get the message. That looked like Reagan almost ran into the side of Richie Hearn's Elite West Racing car, just about held on to it as they now head down the back straightaway. Look how bumpy it is. About 30 minutes of racing to go if we stay green from here. And there are those top cars running out of the final corner. O'Brien will lead with now White tucked in behind. It's not realistic to save fuel, Joey. I think we're probably in agreement there. But saving a bit of fuel might not be the worst thing in the world. Saves you some time on pit lane 2.
Exactly. Making it to the end of the race, well, that's probably going to take an act of a supreme deity, but actually shortening a pit stop, that's just race strategy, and that might be what wins you the race. There's good news here, by the way. Fontaine was able to get out ahead of that second pack. He was able to be alone and make up some time and get into the draft of this front pack. So the two packs are going to merge here, and instead of having 7 cars in the fight for the lead, we're going to have 17, plus Hugo Galaz, maybe even 18.
So Chris Stouffer, Ricky Harden, Matt Telder, and Chris Fowler seemingly DNF'd from this race. Everyone else back out there on track, even if they were tangled up in incident. Alex Guyon trying to catch back up, although he lost about 1.7 seconds to this leading group last time by. He's likely to become lap traffic sooner than later. 47 laps to go. We've seen 1 caution. Do you wait to go aggressive till the end of this race? Sean Campbell, by the way, technical issues even still rolling. He's up there in the top 10 and seemingly getting more confident by the second.
Don't cut to his onboard, Arjuna. You're going to be taking too much of his bandwidth. He can't afford to be uploading at this rate.
We're going to test it. We're testing the iRacing gods here.
I mean, he is getting more aggressive than I would have expected, but I think the second he looks up on his screen and sees that his latency's going up a little bit, he might back out of this, but this is evidence that you need to start pushing right now. You can't really afford to hang back anymore. You need to get track position because you're not making up 9 spots in the final 10 laps. You can make up 9 spots in 45 laps, but you've got to do it incrementally, and you've got to get moving early.
I think what we're also seeing here is that mental awareness from Campbell that he should just leave a little bit more room both behind and in front so that he has the buffer in case his issues do start to reappear. He's working his way forward though without any sort of question. Michael Gray bleeds up high. O'Brien and Herrick a little bit down low as now the Triple Eight tries to cut back underneath, prevent the run from Cristobal Valenzuela in the orange and blue Backfire Motorsports entry. 45 laps to go. This was that mark that we thought you could get to the end relatively comfortably. We'll see if any of these drivers feel, if we did get a caution at this point, that they could get to the end without needing to come down to pit lane, if they could just save and nurse their way on forward, because we are starting to get the 3 wide moments becoming more regular at the front once more.
Things are starting to get a little bit scary. There's some very, very colorful cars back up here, and there's been some colorful moves. Chris Reagan, not necessarily by his fault, but he's had some pretty close calls up here. He's had some close tire moments. Just one wrong move, and everything could end here in this front pack very, very quickly. You saw it with Chris Stover and Ricky Harden. That wasn't hard contact whatsoever. That was just one driver misjudging it slightly, making side-by-side contact and collecting a couple with him. That's how quickly things can go wrong.
That was close between Herrick and Gray, but I think Gray recognized that he was going to have to shove himself out wide. Watches now as Reagan plants himself in that rear view mirror and forces his way forward in the Elite West Racing car. So now the number 19, the one charging forward on the high line, bled off the throttle once again. Seeing pretty confidently here that Sean Campbell seems like his internet issues have somewhat dissipated as cars do come down to pit lane. It's O'Brien, Taylor, and White. 3 cars, teammates deciding to come on in.
This is a risk, though. I don't know if it's going to pay off for him because it's only 3 of them coming down. O'Brien, Taylor, and White. They're going to have each other as buddies to make sure they're keeping the speed up, but they're not going to be in this pack. And they're going to have pretty long stops because they've got to put a bunch of fuel in the tank to get to the end of the race from here.
If they can stay on the lead lap, not in the lead lap, I should say in the leading group, and in the draft they'll find themselves in a decent spot. But there's Valenzuela looking down to the apron. That was a little bit unwise, all things considered. Here comes the Kiwi, though. Where's his teammates? That's the question. Drew White almost a full second behind, and then Matt Taylor trying to close. Where's the leading pack? There they are, out of turn number 2.
This is not good. They could be put a lap down here. If a caution comes out and these guys are a lap down, they will get waved around, but they'll have to restart at the back of the pack. So if the caution's going to come out, O'Brien and Taylor and White are desperately hoping that it comes out in the next couple of moments because that pack is coming, and they're coming very fast.
It's coming with a head of steam, and of course, blue flags being informational only. Drivers will now get the chance to decide, do they go up high, do they go down low? There you see them off and away through the opening corner and just continuing to run as they are. One caution so far, of course. They've been able to stay out of trouble for the most part. Can they continue to do so? And Zaldo with a bit of a bobble in the heart of the pack. Michael Gray takes it 3 wide with Richie Hearn, former open-wheel driver across of America, carving his way forward too. And he's got a teammate, the fellow Elite West Racing driver, and Chris Reagan behind.
How fitting would that be? In the Elite West here in California, if they get that final win of the season, it would only be fitting. But they're 3 by 3 by 4 by 3, and that did not look good going into the corner. And Richie Hearn, is that a commentator's curse? Well, that's the endless debate.
I mean, that Backfire Motorsports car, unrecognizable up towards...
It's a bobsled at this point.
It was more like that than anything else. That was a horrific incident. We'll take a look at the replay. I mean, goodness gracious me, they just got hooked together and speared directly into the Armco.
Yep, that did not go very well for anybody there. The only people who that went well for is Matt Taylor, Michael O'Brien, and Drew White. But let's ride on board here, because you're about to see a race car get every single wheel taken off of it. Hearn gets turned, and then kablamo. Hello, Richie Hearn's head and helmet, and goodbye almost all the tires. We needed one more to get knocked off, and then we would have had a full bobsled, but we didn't quite get there.
I mean, it came pretty close to a car that one of those roadsters that you'd see at the 500 all those years ago, to be fair. So, I mean, historically accurate.
Bathtub.
Exactly, historically accurate from that point. Like you say, big fans of that would have been Matt Taylor, O'Brien, and Drew White, who, of course, will now cycle back around to tag onto the tail end of the lead lap, have already finished their final pit stop cycle. We now just wait for the field to get around and surely, like we said in unison, to come on in.
It's going to be an interesting final stop here, because nobody in that front pack was really able to save oodles of fuel, because we were only green for about 12 laps, but there were still some drivers that were probably hanging back a little bit more than those drivers at the front. How big of a difference is that going to make in terms of the fuel they expended and the fuel they're going to have to put in now? I think we're going to see some shuffling of this order on pit lane. It's not going to be big, but we're going to see some, at least at the back of the pack, maybe make their way up into the top 10.
So, race off pit lane. Ultimately, Taylor, O'Brien, and White at the front. We know they're going to be there. Let's watch this, though. Off and away. Who's going to be able to get through the most aggressively? Lock of the left front, seemingly for Luis Gonzalez Nunez. Here we go, off and away for Sam Fontaine, Jim Herrick, and Sean Campbell. 1, 2, 3, and then Michael Gray and Georgian Zaldo behind.
That's a very interesting order. Sam Fontaine, who had the shortest pit stop of anybody under the last pit cycle, once again, shortest pit stop of anybody, and old Sean Campbell as well, who was not really pushing. Very short stop for him, too. Sam Ryman also, who went one lap longer under the last caution. He had a short stop as well. And, yeah, those are three big guys, a second shorter in the pits than anybody else, and they might be in contention with that.
So we're now running with, I believe, effectively 15 cars without any major issues. Alex Gouillon's trying to take every opportunity he can to get damage repaired on his machine, still seemingly down a little bit on speed and probably going to drop away. We're probably expecting around a 35-lap shootout, if things are to be expected. Cautions breeding cautions. I don't think there's many big wrecks left in this race, Joey, just by the number of cars that we've got.
There's at least 9 more cars that could wreck. We've seen races on ovals with about 6 cars in the U.S. before, so there's definitely still possibilities.
I mean, you only need 2 cars to tango at the end of the day.
Exactly. That's what Mr. Ford said.
I still don't believe he said that.
Neither do I. There's probably like some guy who was writing a book of quotes. Well, they're like it because back in like the 1950s, you could just write anything in a book and people would believe it.
Because the fact checking was a different endeavor. I watched that documentary, Ford versus Ferrari, and he didn't say it there, so I don't believe it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's a great documentary.
It is.
You know when they went to Daytona, but they were at Auto Club?
When they went to the private like Ford test track and they said it was Willow Springs, but then they went to actual Willow Springs anyway.
Hey, at least they made Le Mans look decent, right?
I liked that movie. That was a decent.
It was a decent movie. It was definitely good. But
have you seen Ferrari though, minus Ford?
No, I have not. I'm waiting to see that on home cinema. I've heard reviews.
It's very dense. If you want to watch a movie that's like a Wikipedia article about the 1950s and F1.
How's Adam Driver's accent? Come on, tell me.
I mean, it's not terrible. But I also don't know what Enzo Ferrari actually sounded like, because he died like 40 years before I was born, probably.
Interesting. Sean Campbell, still chatting away, by the way, in our YouTube chat, so clearly is internet stable enough, not just for him to feel confident to be up in 6th, but also to continue to jibber-jabber away with us. Pace car off and away, and again, 2 cautions so far. We've completed 90 laps this time at the stripe. We're now down to those final 35. Could this be to the run to the end of the season? Let's find out as Taylor and O'Brien, along with Drew White, teammates 1, 2, and 3 at the front, get a rip-roaring start from those behind.
But now they've got big old targets on their backs. Everybody behind them is saying, you guys might have drawn the lucky pair of dice there with the caution coming out, but you're not staying up front for much longer. We are coming with a head of steam, and we're going to make sure that none of you three guys win this race. It's not just a target on their back, by the way. It is a massive wing and a massive flat piece of non-aerodynamic carbon fiber that is going to let everybody behind catch up very, very quickly and make this pack form again.
So maybe Fontaine and Herrick could work together in those team affiliations. And Zaldo and Sirois, maybe they could communicate. You can just try and get a sense for where those collaborations will lie. Fontaine's already slipped it up the inside and finds himself running out of road. O'Brien and White slipping up high in those second and third lines. Taylor trying to just paint the white line and give the 22 behind absolutely nowhere to go. You know what I'm just slightly concerned about? Sean Campbell's been sitting, he's been riding. He had his issues at the start, he's resolved those technical issues, and now could he sign off this championship winning season with yet another win? Well, there's the internet just to blink out for a second.
Well, we do have to talk about the Triple Crown points. We put them to the back for a couple of moments because we needed to wait for the race to settle out. But Sean Campbell in the Triple Crown standings currently has 108 points. Michael O'Brien has 104 points. That is very, very close. Michael O'Brien could beat him in the Triple Crown points if he stays where he is right now.
So one of those things, though, that we're going to leave it to race control in the days afterwards to just tot up all the points, confirm no penalties before we finalize exactly who the Triple Crown champion is. At the end of this one, though, we will have our postseason award show where we'll talk about the Driver of the Year along with the Drivers' Championship. Looking forward to getting that rolling in about 32 laps time. Still three teammates at the front. You see two drivers behind. That's Guyon and Gallas that have found themselves separated from the rest of the pack. And so that means 14 cars still in contention. Next time by, 31 laps to go.
That was somewhat scary with Sam Fontaine, or with Drew White rather, up on the top line. Sam Fontaine down on the bottom. Near intersection between those two. Jim Herrick coming onto the scene as well. It's getting hectic, and it's getting very dicey. You're starting to see that aggression I was talking about come through here because these moves are actually going to matter. This is the final stint. This is the run to the checkered flag. All of these passes are more important than they've been all race long.
Yeah, you're also at that point, right, where if the drivers put a little bit too much fuel into the car, they'll be trying to burn some of it off as well. The lighter the car, the faster it tends to be in these Lotus 79, just by the nature of their designs. So O'Brien led at the line, and by the slimmest of margins. No driver's been able to get past Drew White on that high line just yet, but here comes a couple of drivers charging. It's Luis Gonzalez Nunez in that Sim Race 24/7 car, the yellow and white machine that's starting to move forward.
And don't forget, Luis had a penalty. He had a pit lane penalty under those green flag pit stops early on, and he has come back from that absolutely incredibly. Got lucky, or got some help from the cautions. They got him back on the lead lap and got him back up into the pack, but he has fought back incredibly, and he is looking for a way by. He's not going to find it because there's a big Drew White-shaped wall in front of him, but if he can find clean air, if he can find clean track, you can't write him out for the win.
Taylor back down low. Drew White's in trouble, I think. He slipped and now is going to allow Herrick to try and slide on forward. Not going to be able to do so on that back straightaway just yet, but Luis Gonzalez Nunez is there as well. Michael Gray's 888 lurking. Plenty of dangerous drivers right now find themselves in a place where they can pounce. Sean Campbell still sits there as well. He's slotted back to 10th. It's an angry storm that's building right now. They're 4 wide, but not at the front, effectively for 5th position.
Almost 5 wide. If Luis Gonzalez could have found a way to send that 5 wide, he probably would have, but there just wasn't space. Everybody just fighting for the same piece of real estate here. And you can't really find openings unless you find a way to the outside or there's magically a door open to the inside. But you're not going to get people opening that door. You're not going to get people willing to give up the lead to save a little bit of fuel. That bottom is getting sealed off for the rest of this race.
At least right now, see if the tires start to give. 4 wide now for 3rd. Who's highest of them all? Couldn't quite figure it out initially, but it's the black-gray machine. of, well, Michael Gray that slips up high. Drew White doesn't give him the room, though, to slip on through. Sam Fontaine tripped down low and pinched to now drop back almost to the edge of the top 5. Nunez, the one that now chops the nose to get in front. I don't know where I'd want to be right now. Down low seems comfortable. Up high seems the place that's going to be better in maybe 10 laps time.
Well, I just did the easiest thing that you can do if you want to decide a race winner. I went to random.org. I put 1 through 100, and the first driver in this top pack that I got was 6. So, and Zaldo, he's winning the race today. That's how we're going to pick him.
So there's what, 6 cars in front of him right now that he needs to work his way through, or if they come into trouble, he needs to stay out of the way. We'll get to 25 to go next time by. Getting bumpy, you can see as well for these drivers. The grip on the wheel going to get more tense by the moment, by the laps as they tick away. That was Taylor down below the apron. He lost out a little bit, got the car a little bit sideways. O'Brien going to get the momentum. Drew White back up high. Here comes Michael Gray once more.
I'm getting very scared by Herrick and White every lap off of 2 and off of 4. They are getting very, very close to each other and coming so close to making wheel-to-wheel contact. They haven't done it yet, but if they get even an inch closer next time, it's going to end in disaster. Watch it again here, through 3 and 4. That's White in the middle in the blue and white car. Herrick in the black and white car on top. They did better that time, but it's been so close so many times through there.
Yeah, I am feeling a little bit nervous right now. All it takes is one moment. Again, 2 cautions so far. Average here at Auto Club has tended to be about 3 or so over the course of our season finales. And we're getting into the business end of the race. Nunez slips up a little bit high. Can tell that the low line's just not working as well for him in the dirty air of Matt Taylor. Sooner rather than later, Taylor's going to start to get pinched as well. And we had a couple of moments where Michael Gray, along with Chris Stouffer, actually almost interlocked wheels down low. 2 teammates that will be trying to give each other just enough room and hoping to stay out of trouble. If it were to be some of these drivers up towards the front, though, let's not forget, some of them have championship implications here. Matt Taylor, of course, fighting with David Sirois for 3rd in the championship points. Others just want to end the season with a win.
Exactly. Luis actually did something very smart there. Luis Gonzalez Nunez down in the bottom would have been 4 wide into turns 1 and 2, but backed out of it, let them go 3 wide up on top and said, you know what, I value my position here, but I also value still running in this race and not causing a big disaster. And he's reaping the rewards right now. 3 wide up top, didn't work out that well. Luis has got a run down in the bottom. He's in the draft of the leader, Matt Taylor. And yet again, he's going to be closer to the leaders than any of those 3 guys in the top. And he's going to back out of it again here and reap the rewards in about a couple corners' time.
Here's a look from up high. Sean Campbell starting to charge forward once more in his WMP Racing number 26. And Zaldo slips past Nunez in his Raven Lavoie car. He'll be inside of a 3 wide moment for third as well. Tense as now they get very close for 3rd position. Herrick and White, the 3rd of the Nezumi Graphics LC cars that forms the block at the front. I've got to say, it's working a treat right now.
And this is getting scary still. Nunez that time, very, very wiggly on the front straight. Almost got into the side of Matt Gray coming down the straight. It's very bumpy. That leads to some of the wiggles down the front straight, but also it's just drivers getting a little bit antsy on the wheel, and some drivers being better at holding lines than others. It's scary up here, especially if you're that middle car, and especially if you're behind Drew White and Herrick. It's all getting scary, and again they're interlocking wheels off of 4.
Here's a look on board with Michael Gray as he tries to find a way past Drew White. As soon as White gets pushed out wide, the floodgates will open for those behind to follow suit. You have to believe, and that's why Gray's being forced 3 seams up high as they filter off of that second corner. Still Taylor and O'Brien running 1 and 2. Defending team champions looking to try and close things off on top. Campbell tries to work forward. He's alongside with Nunez. Herrick still stuck behind the Kiwi, the red and white of Michael O'Brien. Campbell's getting more aggressive. He looks to the outside of Nunez.
He can get as aggressive as he wants, but if he's not in the physical realm, people aren't going to want to race with him very often, and he might end up getting forced out. But also, one scary thing about being in a lead pack like this is most virtual spotters on offer cannot tell you if you're 4 wide. If you have 3 cars to your inside, you are at your own behest to figure out how you're going to handle that. Or if you do have a human spotter in the session helping you, they can tell you you're 4 wide. But if you don't have that, you better be looking in the mirrors, you better be looking left, and you better hope you're leaving enough room.
Okay, we've got 18 laps to go at the line. Are you sticking with George and Zaldo as your pick?
The random number generator is never wrong, except when it is.
I was going to say, do you want to try and generate another number and see what it picks next time?
I'm going to generate a number, and that's going to tell me the percentage chance of me being right. Let's see. 61. That's better than...
It's not bad.
That's more than half. That's very possible.
Those are decent odds in a field like this right now.
Going 1 through 100 kind of wrote off Matt Gray from being able to, or Michael Gray rather, from being able to win, though.
Yeah, hashtag blame Joey for that one. Well, I mean, I've got to say right now, we've had those 2 cautions. I feel like there's one still brewing. There's one more twist in the tail. Still have Drew White holding that 3rd line. The teammates will be coordinating, communicating amongst the 3 of them, playing the cards they are dealt. Michael Gray, highest of them all. Sean Campbell alongside.
Gray's not going to have any run to the outside of Campbell, though. He's been chopped off. He's going to look again to the outside, but doesn't have the momentum. He just can't really stay side by side with Campbell because Campbell is in the draft of Drew White. He's getting a little bit of a run forward, and look at Sean all the way up to the top now. He might be able to send it 4 wide into turn 1, and he is looking very, very strong when he's in the corporeal realm. He might be fighting for this race win.
The issue is he doesn't really get a chance to try and side draft alongside of Drew White, and so you see here through the corner, he's not even alongside, going the longer distance, scrubbing off a little bit more speed as well, and now waiting to try and get that benefit, the gain back on his side, but already with that 888 to the left-hand side and not allowing the WMP Racing car the chance to slot underneath. 15 to go, this time at the line, still with Taylor, able to hold the white line. Let's not forget first into the race, Joey, just how much David Sewell was struggling to hold on.
And we also can't really forget that all this talk about the guys that are from 3rd on down, all the battling we're seeing, Matt Taylor and Michael O'Brien have been in the lead of this pack for every single lap since the restart. They have been unbreakable. They have been locked side by side, and nobody's been able to break up this duo. So if the winner's going to come from anywhere in the field, I think it's going to be hard to write off either of these 2 unless something changes very, very quickly and somebody's actually able to break them up somehow. Maybe somebody's able to get to the inside of O'Brien and force him up a little bit higher. Maybe somebody's able to make the 3rd line work for the first time. It's going to have to be something different because if it stays like it is, O'Brien and Taylor are in a good spot.
And as we get into these closing stages, let's talk about today's arena driver profile. Cristobal Valenzuela still finds himself in a very strong position. 30 starts, 6 of those top 10, the sole top 5 being the 4th place finish at Pocono last year. He knows how to wheel it on the bigger super speedway ovals, now just hoping in that Backfire Motorsports car to get the luck going on his side. As we head into those final laps of the race, he seems to have migrated up high, seems to be comfortable where he is. Drew White still playing the cork in the bottle, if you will. 4 wide into the opening corner, as easy as you'd like once more.
If Cristobal's strategy is to hang back a little bit, I hope it doesn't backfire for him.
You were waiting for that one, weren't you?
Yep, 112 laps for that one.
Here's the look with Matt Taylor's perspective. Just look at the suspension working right now. It doesn't seem like an easy ride, does it?
No, it is. It is very, very bumpy. It's even more bumpy in real life now. Oh, that was almost total disaster. How did everybody keep that pointed straight? There were about 6 cars who got hit there.
Well, disaster averted, but for how long? Because when it brews like that, all it takes is one moment for tempers to start to flare. That's a very slow Jim Herrick as he loses all sorts of momentum, slides up through the track, and now Cristobal Valenzuela in the 33 starts to work around the outside.
He almost had 3 cars to his inside, got very lucky, but let's see what happened here. That was Luis Nunez who caused the first little bit of contact and just checked everybody up. Everybody's so lucky to actually get through there because that was wheel-to-wheel contact for a moment. You'll see Luis come down a little bit too far, but they were so lucky to save that and keep that pointed straight. That
could have been a whole lot worse. He's still running up there inside of the top 5. what mindset do each of the drivers have after a moment like that. Nunes tucked behind the 45. When does he jink up high? As there comes a look from an aggressive Mike Razmas. He still has a chance to make it 3 wins in a row here at Auto Club. He's danced his way back on forward, the #1 machine, tucked up behind one of his Nezumi Graphics LC teammates.
Dear.
As a big moment into the wall behind. It's Campbell, I think, just staying out of it. Drew White and Sam Fontaine will see the yellow fly.
That is such a shame for both of them. 2 drivers who've had very different journeys up to the front, but that was almost bound to happen with the amount of contact we saw in the previous lap. Once that starts to happen, once you start to see a field like this start to bounce off of each other, it's almost like a herd mentality, and everybody just starts going even more crazy. That was a weird one, though. That almost looked like Drew White clipped the apron on his own, and he did, but did he get clipped by anybody to get down there again?
Oh, yeah, you can definitely see there was a little of a ping-pong match off of the corner as they worked through. That was the shot from the rear end of Matt Taylor. We'll have to try and see if we can grab another look and maybe see if we can ride on board this time with Sam Fontaine in the number 22 machine.
Yeah, I think it was Michael Gray who clipped White initially, got him down in the apron. White tried to correct. You can't really correct at that point. The tires aren't really stuck enough to the track, so when you overcorrect like that, you're just sending it up into the wall. And poor old Samuel Fontaine, he instantly discovers that there's a new wall in front of him, and there's nothing he can do because he's going 200 miles per hour.
That might be the final caution. That sees a green flag restart, not yet at the point of no return, you'd have to think, but probably getting pretty close to it as the sun continues to set. Taylor, O'Brien, and now Nunes 1, 2, and 3. Drew White was relatively important, Joey, in the Nezumi Graphics LC trio, being able to control the field at the front. Now when we get back underway, Taylor and O'Brien will have to decide how they want to try and defend their positions up front.
It's going to be hard because neither of them can really afford to work together anymore, because O'Brien is going to have the best run of anybody. He's going to have a full lap to build up the speed in the draft of his teammate Matt Taylor. And if he pulls to the outside, if he takes that momentum to the front, he might be the winner of this race. So everybody behind is going to have to hope for a good restart, hope that they can maximize those first couple of laps before everybody starts to get stuck together in a pack, because that's when you're getting the full effect of the draft.
Sean Campbell says, by the way, that he wishes that his internet could be good. It does seem as though, for the most part, that it's held up over the course of the night. He will line up in 11th position to get back underway. Question will be how he's able to work on forward from there. So 9 laps to go. Will become 8 at the line. So 7, 6-lap restart, something like that. Let's say it takes a lap for the field to get back up to speed, another lap for them to pack up once again. That means realistically, a caution within another lap, Joey, ends the race right there. But we should still have a 7-lap shootout when we get back around to the line.
Yes, we'll have the possibility for... I think we'll have the possibility for 2 more cautions. But that's assuming they come out instantly.
Don't say that. No.
I don't think we'll get a caution that instantly because the pack's not going to be close enough together, but if we get a caution with 4 laps to go, I believe we'll get a 1-lap shootout. If it happens after that, we're done.
Why did you have to say that?
I'm just making sure everybody knows that if we get a caution before 4 laps to go, we will still get racing to the end.
Just trying to commentators curse it. That's all I'm hearing now. Do you want to change your pick, though? George Ansaldo back in 8th. Does the random number generator feel that its 61% confidence warrants a change?
I think so. I see that we have Sean Campbell waiting, though. Should we ask him who's going to win this race?
We'll leave him be for the time being. We're getting ready to go back racing.
He's good at the one-word answers, though, but I think he'd say the same answer as me, because it's such a good pick.
What would his answer be? Him?
No, his answer would be Ansaldo. Because he's a man of knowledge and culture. He would pick only the best driver to win this race.
Well, are you ready? 5 laps probably, 5 minutes rather, or so to settle this out. 5 laps realistically before we figure out if there is going to be a caution to end the race.
I'm as ready as I can possibly be, and I'm ready to see how big of a jump Matt Taylor gets here, because that's going to determine if he holds the lead.
Here we go. It's Madworks 1 and 2. back underway at the front for the Gomez Sim Industries Championship 250. We'll snake back and forth, we'll get those speeds built up, but already a car is going up and over. Caution will fly instantly. That was Sam Fontaine, who was already 3 laps down. Not sure what happened to him.
Yeah, how? How did that even happen? Where did he fall from the sky?
That's a new one, that's all I'll say.
Was there a helicopter above the track pulling him out and dropped him? Where did he come from?
He was down on pit lane, wasn't he? Here we go.
What?
Wow. I mean,
what?
There's landmines, and then there's landmines.
That was like a groundhog was down there, and he popped up at just the right time.
I just want to be clear here. Sam Fontaine has done absolutely nothing wrong.
No, Arjuna, I put full blame on him because he didn't see the mystical realm of the non-physically existent polygon that he just ran into.
Well, that's a ticket being sent to the iRacing support team.
That is incredible. That is incredible stuff. I think we should give him the win just for that.
I just want to be clear. There is no way that could have been intentional. What it does mean is that we will get a restart with, is it going to be 5 to go or 4 to go? I'm not sure.
That is just, that's incredible. That is a highlight of the season right there. I've never seen that before. I don't think anybody has ever seen that before. That must have been like a combination of the specific little bit of damage that Sam had, plus that little bit of terrain that ended up adding to that. That is, that's great stuff.
I will send you footage from ISOWC 2021. Not at Auto Club, unfortunately, but at Road America, where we've also had big landmines. Now, fuel not a concern, given that this caution's come out. Lights are still on the pace car, which means that we will be 4 to go. No, it will be 3 to go, won't it, for the restart?
It will be. And by the way, if anybody's on pit lane right now, I just have one message for you. Don't come out on track. Please, just stay there.
I don't think Sam Fontaine's going to risk it again. Poor guy. I mean, he's probably pretty traumatized after that one.
Yeah, that's like... there's a YouTube video that I want everybody to watch after this. It's 2 ladies in a car, and they're trying to drive to a candle store, and they take a left turn in a parking lot, and they drive down into a truck loading dock that was totally unsighted. That's exactly what that was.
I'm trying to think of... Have you ever had an incident like that?
I don't think so.
Good, right?
I think I've been lucky.
Yeah, no one wants that sort of an incident, that is for sure. Look from up above. I've got to say, this track's fantastic. It's a real shame it no longer exists in this form in the real world. The benefit is, at least, though, that we'll be able to preserve it in the virtual world and unleash all sorts of machines around here, including these Lotus 79s, which you never traditionally have expected to go racing around here.
Sean Campbell in the chat is confused by my story of that YouTube video, but that is an excellent video where they fall into the truck loading dock, and their first reaction is just, is this the candle store? Did we make it? It's great stuff. It's great stuff. But also, it is a shame, Arjun, that this track, which was once a beautiful 2-mile D-shaped oval, it's now going to be an Amazon warehouse or a Fuyao glass factory or something like that. That's not going to be the same glory.
I mean, you just had to get your... What would you buy on Amazon? Your book of puns from Amazon, didn't you, Joey?
Would I buy that from there? I don't know. I don't know if we can... I don't know if that's for sale.
I mean, you would buy...
hardwired.
You would buy a book of puns, though, wouldn't you?
Maybe. It's possible. Those are... I would buy French puns, because I gotta expand my languages.
Right, here we go. 3-lap shootout guaranteed. Should be good. Should be fun. It'll be Taylor O'Brien once again at the front. It will take them a lap to get the speed up. Maybe another lap for them to start to bunch up again, which then means, what, 1 lap after that to really show it down.
And before we were distracted by the Nobel Prize in Physics that Sam Fontaine found out, Matt Taylor did actually have a very smart restart. He didn't get a huge jump on O'Brien. He just got on the throttle fairly normally, made sure the gap was minimized, because if he leaves about 5 car lengths or so between him and the guy behind, that's going to let O'Brien get a huge ball of momentum grown, and he'll be able to blow by him if he pulls to the outside. But if Taylor makes sure the draft is short, O'Brien can't get a ton of momentum. He can't make the pass. It's simple. We'll see if he does it again.
So, it will be the final time that we see the pace car off and away, at least to get us on to green flag racing. Matt Taylor gets us underway for the Gomez Sim Industries Championship 250. The snake of cars goes back and forth into the opening corner. O'Brien, Nunez, Razmas, Gray, Wagner, Valenzuela, Anzaldo, Sierra, and Ryman, the rest of those behind. And let's not forget, 14 cars realistically still have a chance of coming out on top. Out of turn 2 they come. O'Brien will peel alongside of his teammate as side by side they go into turn number 3.
And O'Brien was not able to get a ton of momentum built up there. He just didn't have that long of a straight line in the draft of his teammate, and he's to the outside, and he just finds himself in that familiar position he was in the previous stint of just trying to beat him to the line in clean air. He's got Nunez almost trying to bump draft him behind, though.
Here comes Mike Razmas, though. There'll be 3 Nezumi Graphics LC teammates at the front again. Dangerous proposition for anyone wanting to work through. Can see there's a second grouping, Anzaldo, Sierra, Ryman, Guyon, Campbell, that are getting checked up with one another slightly further behind. O'Brien and Taylor still alongside, though, on those bottom 2 lines into turn 3. White flag out, this time by.
I think we're going to make it, but what do you do if you're Nunez and if you're Rasmus or even Gray and Wagner now? They're going to join the front pack for this final lap. How do you break up this wall without going Andreas Ike mode?
Championship decided who comes out on top in this one. We go full wide into the opening corner, but eventually Wagner's going to run out of room. Mike Razmas wants to make it 3 in a row, but in that third line, surely a little bit too much distance left to cover. It will come down to Taylor and O'Brien. 2 more corners to go between the teammates.
Nunez looking for somewhere to go, but he just has Michael O'Brien directly in front of him. O'Brien a little bit high, gets into Rasmus just a little bit. He's going to have to hope for the run to the line, but Nunez is there in the middle.
It's a good run from that Team Sim Race 24/7 machine. Photo finish at the line. Luis Nunez grabs it. The 14 by 8 thousandths of a second wins the final round of the 2023-2024 Lionheart Retro Series. The Gomez Sim Industries Championships 250 sees the 14 come out on top as Luis Gonzalez Nunez wins for what is the first time in the Lionheart Retro Series.
That was absolutely incredible. For the first time, the door actually opened between Taylor and O'Brien. That did not exist for any other lap where those 2 was in the front, but the second Nunez got the opportunity, he said, I'm going for it. You've given me this chance. I'm taking the run. And he embarrasses both of them.
What a great run it was to the end. Between the top 6, 800ths of a second. Burning it down in HyperX victory lane. A new winner to add to the history books. Luis Gonzalez Nunez does it, and does it in style on the ovals as he continues to celebrate. We'll make our way down towards a look at our arena race results. Still provisional, yes, but those margins show what a finish it was. It will go into the history books as the tied 7th closest finish in series history. And Matt Taylor and Michael O'Brien may only have grabbed 2nd and 3rd, but what a great season it's been once again for Nezumi Graphics LC Madworks. Razmas, the outgoing champion, in 4th, cannot make it 3 wins in a row, with Gray back in 5th and then Matt Wagner in 6th. Again, 800ths between those 6 machines, and then back to the second grouping. Valenzuela, Sirwa, Guyon, and Anzaldo, the trio of Raven Lavoie Motorsport entries. Alex Guyon beating George Anzaldo to the line by just 4 thousandths of a second. Ryman, Herrick, Gallas, Campbell all scored on the leading lap. The WMP racing car not getting into the slicing and dicing, at least on the end, choosing maybe to stay out of all of it, with Fontaine amongst those getting involved in drama. White, Munoz, Hearn, Reagan, and Harden also worse for the wear. Stouffer, Telder, Fowler, and Rigney down for the count, unfortunately, at the back, with the fastest lap going the way of Mike Razmas on the 92nd lap of the race. And so we'll work our way in towards the next level racing post-race show. Looking forward to talking to some of these drivers, getting some of the reaction from them as well. While we wait for our race winner, let's see if we can catch up with Matt Taylor, who came across the line, of course, in 2nd position. Matt, really dramatic finish there at the very end. Did you think you had enough coming towards the white flag to hold on?
I wasn't sure. You come off of turn 4 as the leader, and you're really kind of at a huge disadvantage with the side draft as strong as it is. So, you stay high and maybe Michael gets the run, try to separate, and then Lewis timed the run just perfect.
It was a call, of course, that saw 3 teammates come into pit lane slightly early, and then you got a caution that saw you cycle towards the front. Were you jumping for joy when the caution ended up coming out?
No, we were actually looking for the window to do that all race, to separate from the pack, because I think on our own we could run faster, and we definitely would have opened the gap up. I think it would have been the 3 of us to the end. But then you're out front, you're just hanging on and hoping to survive, and the safest place is out front at that point.
Not exactly sure how the final championship totals will end up running, but it was close between you and David Sirois coming into this one. Should have been enough for you to grab 3rd in the points. Of course, Izumi Graphics LC Madworks defending the team championship as well. How do you look back on the entire season? 22 races now officially in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, that season obviously with Sean coming in that bar, Sean and Phil Krause at the beginning of the season in particular, that bar gets raised really far above where I'm certainly capable as a driver on the road courses, and for myself to really stand a chance, needed to have a almost perfect year on the ovals, and didn't quite have that, and some mistakes on the road courses, but I'm certainly not going to be upset with a team championship with Michael again, and 3rd in the points.
Congratulations on a great year and a great podium to wrap up the season, and looking forward to seeing you hopefully more on RaceSpotTV over the next couple of months.
Absolutely, thank you.
Matt Taylor joins us from 2nd. Let's see if we can jump down to HyperX victory lane, though, where Luis Gonzalez Nunez by 8,000ths of a second comes out on top. Luis, talk us through the emotions winning in the Lionheart Retro Series.
Oh my God, the 2nd win, the Lionheart. Really happy. I really thought I gonna lose everything because I lost one lap by speeding on the pit lane, and I don't know. I don't have any words for that.
2nd win in Lionheart, of course, after that Speedway Series win as well. How much are you looking forward to hopefully being able to jump back into the DW12, Luis, later this year? I know you always enjoy going out racing in that DW12 car.
Well, I really with anxious, excited to. I hope get the news soon, and we started to next season, this season 2024 with the DW12, and I hope I'm gonna get more wins and more good results. I really don't think it to win. I just get the fun and get good results. But when it's 5 laps to go and you have a certainly time to, or maybe the opportunity to win, so I get it. I get everything. So I'm really happy today. I'm really happy, to be honest.
When you had teammates around you at the front who could work together, what was the secret to winning this race, to being able to best them in terms of strategy?
Well, just getting there, just staying there. I really thought to stay behind to Michael every time. I don't know why. I really go inside. I really lost position, and then I just stayed there. And when I saw Matt going down, I said, this is my opportunity, and turn 3, and just went in there and get it. So I'm really happy. I don't know. I thinking about it on the second. I said I go for there, and I didn't thought to win it. I thought it's gonna be Michael to win it for something, because it's faster on the second line. But unfortunately, I don't have any partner to do that. But hey, doesn't matter. It's just do it for fun, and just that fun is make me happy. Finally, after many races on Retro Series, I got something on the end. That's good for me.
Congratulations to Luis Gonzalez Nunez, the winner of this final round of the championship. We'll quickly catch up with Michael O'Brien as well. Michael, a podium to end what's been a pretty successful season overall. How do you reflect on the past 22 races?
Thanks. Yeah, that was a fun race. I'm sure Matt told you about the strategy and everything already. As for the season, yeah, I'm really happy with it. My pace is generally good. Didn't make too many mistakes, and yeah, pretty happy with it.
I mean, to finish second behind Sean Campbell, there's not many other drivers that I guess you could feel happy to have finished behind. As you look forward, though, to the next year, what are you hoping for into 2024? I've already seen provisional teasers of the schedule. Anything that you're looking forward to in terms of races?
Yeah, there's a few interesting tracks on there. Brands was an absolute blast. I think 2 years ago when we did it, that was an exhausting race, so I'm looking forward to that one.
Congratulations, Michael. We'll see you hopefully for next season.
Just really quickly, just want to congratulate Sean. He's obviously super fast, super consistent, and on top of that, he's just a really good dude and always up for a chat. So, congrats to Sean.
Michael O'Brien congratulating the champion, Sean Campbell, and that will lead us, I think, quite nicely in towards our post-season awards show. Let's drag on in the series organizer, George Enzaldo, to get the show underway. George, welcome along, and let's get these post-season awards underway as well.
Excellent. Thanks, Arjuna. So happy to be here again at the end of another great season. What a way to end that off. What a battle up there. Congratulations to all the podium winners. But yes, we're here to crown a champion. It's my pleasure to award our 2023 season champion presented by Next Level Racing. And that honor goes to Sean Campbell. Sean, you definitely... You're pretty dominant this year. You had a lot of competition there with O'Brien there, but you held off in the end, and you come home with a title. So again, on behalf of Lionheart and Next Level Racing and the rest of the series sponsors, we want to congratulate you on your championship here in the Retro Series.
Thank you, George, and once again, everybody who puts this together for us to be able to do it.
Congratulations, Sean, on a great year. George, we have one other award to talk about, and of course, that's not necessarily about the driver that's blitzed the points alike, but instead something else very special to the world of Lionheart.
Yeah, absolutely. This award is very special, and we tend to give out a handful of awards, but among the champion, this one is one that's very special. So this award celebrates a driver throughout the entire season, just shines a little bit brighter above the rest. This driver is one that is very loyal to the league, one who shows up, gives it 110%, really embodies the values as well as the on-track performance. So in essence, it's the perfect package. And so while we do have, like I said, we have so many great drivers in this league, we want to take time to recognize one driver who's just done a little bit more and really shown that they are one of Lionheart's best. So it's my pleasure and my honor to celebrate and award our 2023 Driver of the Year presented by Next Level Racing, and that goes to David Syrah. David, congratulations. You've been fantastic here in Lionheart. We're happy to have you, and you ran a great season, and you've been a great member of this community. So I just wanted to congratulate you and thank you for being such a great member.
Hey, thanks, George. Yeah, well, I don't know what to say. It's a great surprise. I was not expecting that. I'm so glad to be in this league. You are doing a fantastic job. Congratulations to Sean Campbell for the championship. Thanks to La Voix Motorsport and Ancestral Urbain. Really, it means a lot to me. Thank you, guys. I'm very happy.
David does a lot, of course, for the community. But George, as we bring to an end another year of Lionheart competition, so many people that I'm sure you have to thank.
Absolutely, and thank you, Arjuna. Yeah, we'd just like to thank our season sponsors, Next Level Racing, certainly for being the presenting sponsor to the Retro Series this year. HyperX, Butt Kicker, Arena TV, RaceSpotTV. Again, thank you all for your fantastic coverage of our series. It's been phenomenal partnering with you, and we're excited to have had our races here all this time. ESTV, GSI, 3D Wrap, Prospects by SI, Extreme Scoring, and 4D Racewear. And then obviously on the sports car side, we had BMW Performance Driving Center. But again, just to the admin team, to the drivers for all their hard work, and everyone here at Lionheart who's helped make this season a good one. I just want to thank everyone. So thanks again, and stay tuned. Our 24 plans should be announced pretty soon. We're finalizing some things here behind the scenes, but you'll definitely see us back again in 24, and we're looking forward to some more great racing. So again, thank you so much, RaceSpot, for everything you do for us. It's been phenomenal, and thanks again for another great season. Take care, everyone.
And Joey, just like that, we're ready to say goodbye. What a insane ride it has been, the longest ever season that Lionheart Retro Series has seen. We close it up the way that we always do at Auto Club, and we look forward to getting the show underway once again.
Yeah, this 2023 season was so long that it's 2024 now. The year changed. I can't wait for the 2024 season to get started, and it'll be 2025 when that's over. It's gonna be so much fun. The Lionheart series, all of them, continue going, and I can't wait to see what's next in store. And hopefully it's somebody not named Sean Campbell challenging him in whatever series it is.
I mean, Sean Campbell's had a mighty year, not just your Lionheart Retro Series champion, of course, but the GT3 Pro champion in the Butt Kicker Sports Car Series. But that's Lionheart done and dusted for 2024. What a wild 3 years it's been since RaceSpot and Lionheart joined forces, and we've been excited to venture out into new realms over the last 12 months. Hopefully, we're back with familiar cars and races in a couple of months' time. For the entire team behind the scenes, for Joey Tebben alongside myself, Arjuna Kankipati, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations to Sean Campbell. Congratulations to the entire Lionheart community, who will go off, get some well-earned rest, and come back in a couple of months' time, ready to show us what they're all about once more.